Good morning, another glorious day, another glorious phrase for your essays, and here it is on the screen now. Etwas in Betracht ziehen, to take something into consideration. It can also mean to consider something, to take something into account. So, we're going for phrases like, we start with the basic one. Man muss in Betracht ziehen, das. You have to take into account the fact that, or you have to consider the fact that. It's a lovely phrase. Learn it off by heart and pay attention to the pronunciation. Man muss in Betracht ziehen, dass viele Kinder einen eigenen Fernseher im Schlafzimmer haben. You have to take into account the fact that many children have their own TV in their bedrooms. Man muss in Betracht ziehen, dass viele Schulen neue Initiativen einführen. You have to take into account the fact that lots of schools are introducing new initiatives. So this comma, das, and then you say whatever you want. Man muss auch in Betracht ziehen, dass das Internet immer beliebter wird. You have to take into account the fact the internet's becoming more and more popular. Man muss auch in Betracht ziehen, dass immer weniger Leute Zeitungen kaufen. Fewer and fewer people buy newspapers. Man muss in Betracht ziehen, dass. That's your first starting point, basic phrases. And now let's move it on slightly, but in a way, let's still keep it manageable. So a good sentence starter, spoken or written. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss. Say it with me. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss. Lock it in your head. What you also have to take into account is, and then after that I would just leave a little pause in the speaking exam, or a comma in the writing exam, in the written exam. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss, das kostet sehr viel Geld. That costs an awful lot of money. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss, comma, das kostet unheimlich viel Geld. That costs ever such a lot of money. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss, ne? Viele Kinder haben Handys heutzutage. Was man auch in Betracht ziehen muss, fast alle Kinder haben ein eigenes Handy. Almost all children have their own mobile phone. What you have to take into account is the fact that all children, nearly all children, have their own mobile phone. It sounds great. Practice these. And now a more heavyweight version of this. If you really want to give the examiner reason to smile, we're going to convert this into the passive tense. What must also be taken into consideration is to be taken into consideration. So that's turning it from the active into the passive. And here's the phrase. Das muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. So gezogen is the past participle of ziehen. Das muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. Ja. So what might be taken into consideration? The price, the role of parents. Der Preis muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. Der Preis muss in Betracht gezogen werden. Die Rolle der Eltern muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. The role of the parents must be taken into consideration. Und so you're talking about, say, I don't know, childhood obesity. Ja, also Sport, ich glaube, Sport muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. I think sport also has to be taken into consideration, taken into account. Das muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. Just keep the thing that has to be taken into consideration simple. The price, the cost, the role of parents, schools, teachers. Ja, also ihre Mentalität muss auch in Betracht gezogen werden. Must be taken into consideration. Muss in Betracht gezogen werden. practice it over and over. Lock it away as a piece of writing, a must-use phrase. Now we're on a real roll. Here's probably your fourth option for using this, but don't try all of these. You can only use this phrase once or maximum twice in any piece of writing or speech, but make it count. The final option is to put the thing that has to be taken into consideration first in the sentence for emphasis. So it's going to be accusative, because it's the subject of the sentence. It's the thing that has to be taken into consideration. Den Preis muss in Betracht gezogen werden. Die Rolle der Eltern muss man in Betracht ziehen. The role of the parents, you have to, into consideration, take. Den Preis, the price. Den, accusative. Den Preis muss man in Betracht ziehen. Ja, pass auf, listen, pass auf, den Preis muss man auch in Betracht ziehen. The price must you also into consideration take. Putting it at the beginning adds emphasis. Ja, what else could we say? Ja, natürlich, das Geld muss man auch in Betracht ziehen. See, you could put das Geld in the middle, it's no problem. Man muss auch das Geld in Betracht ziehen. You must the money into consideration take. But a nice thing to do is to put the object at the beginning for emphasis. Das Geld muss man auch in Betracht ziehen. Die Rolle der Schulen, the role of schools, die Rolle der Schulen muss man auch in Betracht ziehen. Den Einfluss auf Kindererziehung. Den Einfluss auf der Kindererziehung muss man auch in Betracht ziehen. That's a good one. You also have to take in consideration the influence on child development, child's education. You've got lots of things to practice with here. Take it slowly and get this phrase locked in your head as something you are going to write and say regardless of what topic you are talking about. Any problems? Contact me. Final thing then is to put something in the past tense. Okay, so you could say something like, ja, das hat man nie in Betracht gezogen. That was never taken into consideration. Das hat man nie in Betracht gezogen. That people have never into consideration taken. Man hat das nie in Betracht gezogen. Man hat das nie in Betracht gezogen. People have never taken that into consideration. For emphasis, you put the that at the beginning. Das hat man nie in Betracht gezogen. Hat gezogen, past tense. Ja, aber das Geld hat man nie in Betracht gezogen. Aber man hat solche Probleme nie in Betracht gezogen. People never considered these types of problems. Man hat solche Probleme, such problems, nie in Betracht gezogen. That's option 1, perfect tense. Option 2, want to show off a little bit, go a bit off-road, use the passive. Use the passive, past passive. Ja, aber das Problem wurde nie in Betracht gezogen. The problem was never taken into consideration. Aber das Problem mit der Fettleibigkeit wurde nie in Problem gezogen. The problem of obesity was never taken into consideration. Die Gefahren im Internet, the dangers online, the dangers of the Internet, die Gefahren im Internet wurden, plural, because it's more than one danger, wurden nie in Betracht gezogen. Ja, something like that. Or if it's singular, it's going to be wurde in Betracht gezogen. Die Rolle der Eltern wurde nie in Betracht gezogen. The role of the parents was never taken into consideration. If it's present passive, this is we're going backwards one step. Sorry, I forgot this earlier. Die Rolle der Eltern wird nie in Betracht gezogen. Wird gezogen, passive, is never taken into consideration. Ja, aber die Lehrer werden nie in Betracht gezogen. The teachers are never taken into consideration. Nobody ever thinks about the teachers. Ja, und der Preis wird nie in Betracht gezogen. The price is never taken into consideration. So you've now got loads of different options here. Good luck with them.